Good afternoon. I'm Attorney Danyl Patterson, candidate for the 190th state rep seat. And for those of you who don't know, that's West Philly, baby. So I'm calling out all those folks from Belmont, East Park Side, West Paulton. And of course, I can never forget Haddington and Dunlap, since that's where I'm from and where I've been living all these years. Winfield Heights, Cedar Park. Uh, you got to come out. You got to talk to us about what's going on in your hood because we are here to help you. Today, we've got an interesting one because joining me today is Charlotte Greer-Brown of the Elite 30, or is it the 30 Elite Association? But she is definitely someone who believes that together we are definitely stronger. And based on what's been going on in the community, they're putting together a 3-day summit. 3 whole days, we can really talk about it, what the issues are, identify them. But more importantly, it's time to get past the talking and get down to doing. So say hi to Charlotte for me, everybody. Thanks for joining us, Charlotte. How you doing?
I am so glad to be back. Thank you for having me again. And
Yes, well,
again,
when we have information and we have folks who want to share, we want to bring on those experts in the field, and you are definitely an expert in the field, working hard for the people out here in Philadelphia. So tell us about this summit and what inspired it. So actually, let's back up because I know you've been on the show before, and I talk to you quite a bit because she's always full of information. But tell us about, I never get is it 30 Elite or Elite 30?
okay, so the Elite 30 is a combination of nonprofit organizations, small businesses, for profits in certain instances, coalitions and foundations. And what we do is we come together and we address quality of life issues collaboratively through events, through speaking engagements. Through whatever we can to get our message out to the people who we serve. And for right now, we have about 20 people who are, we had 30 that started out. We have 20 people who are active on the front line, and the other 10 who we keep in contact with whenever we're doing stuff out on the streets. Of course,
Well,
we
that
can't be streets now, but yeah.
Well, that's fabulous. And I know you guys don't stop at 30. You don't sit down one day and say,
No,
okay, we're at 30, so that's enough, right?
right. So
You're
I'm hoping.
talking to all of us.
Yes, so I'm hoping that eventually you'll be able to be a part of that, but you're already a part of that. And I also want to just say to you again, thank you for all that you're doing. And I'm gonna tell you one thing that I love, I'm a very critic of when it comes to people in the community is your consistency. So thank you for that.
Well, I appreciate that. We're out here working hard together. That's, the motto of my personal life, but especially of the campaign. We can do better together. And I think that COVID-19 has shown that when we band together, we literally can get through anything.
Absolutely.
What sparked the movement, but I want you to talk about it because it's really when we're at grassroots level, we can't seem to get that traction. But then a celebrity does it, and all of a sudden it's a new idea. So what sprang forth from your brain?
So you want to talk about the 3 day summit. So I
Yeah.
just want to say that when I first initially had the idea, I won't take the credit for it.
Hmm.
PC, he did I think it was a 2 day. I don't know how many days, but it was a summit, and he did with the black celebrities, epidemiologists and nurses and doctors from around the nation,
Yes, he
and
did.
it was very intriguing. And I said to myself, I watch these things all the time. Why don't we do this? I'm a person that most people know who hold panels, but since we can't do it up close and personal, let's do a virtual one. And I said, I wanted to hear from people in the community who we don't hear from. And I think that's who the people want to hear from. With all the madness and the confusion and the disappointment by elected officials who are not ready, willing, and able at this moment. And they're showing their true colors during this time. So I think I wanted the elected officials to take a back seat to really hear what the community is saying and the grassroots community. So this is one of the things that pushed it. And the second thing is the disproportionately spread of COVID-19 in the black.
Yes, amongst our community.
That was the and then when I got with the team, and matter of fact, shout out to my team, Terrell Carney, Zahira Ahmad, and Tamika Pearson, and Ricky Duncan. And there's other people helping behind the scenes like Melissa Robbins. And I really thank them for making sure I'm on point of my messaging. And the reason I brought them up is because when I brought it to the team, they said, this is a public health crisis, Charlotte. We
Yes, it
have to
is.
out to the people to make them know how urgent this is and don't allow anyone to dumb it down. So, Charlotte, we're going to talk about all these problems that we know we have, but what about the solutions? So
And
that's
I
what
was
we
going to say, and that's where we kind of fall down. And,
right.
and I see that, so as somebody, literally who's been working in the community my whole life, because my parents were activists. So I grew up in one of those households. I know that there are times that I've gotten tired, and let alone those folks who started to fight before me, and even some who started after me. You get tired because you feel like you're always pushing and shoving and dragging for everybody else, and then you don't see change because it's like, I served on that committee and then we got funding, but it didn't go where we're supposed to. Oh, I worked to get that person elected, and now I can't get a phone call returned, because we have this issue in the neighborhood. Or, I recognize that, we wanted, the mural arts program expanded, but then all of a sudden, it was a West Philly thing that's no longer a West Philly thing. It's actually been expanded every place else, and we can't get, our pictures put up. And what happens? They take our heroes down because of other things they've done. Now it's become so political about who's up and who's not and where it's shown. Like, you ever notice that some folks get a really big mural and then other folks get a little bitty one, or that some folks have a big unveiling of their mural and some other folks don't? I mean, it's just gotten to the point. It was really just all about beautification and coming together as a community. And now it's not. So I think it's fabulous that during this summit, we're going to identify problems, but also we're going to identify some solutions and then partnerships to get it done. So it's not just to identify it. The fact that you're already starting out with 30 organizations involved, and we know it's going to be 38, or 42, but the fact that you're already starting out with so many stakeholders, and I think that's what it is, stakeholders. That means that you're going to have a driving force to be able to drive change. And that's really, really, I'm going to say that's pretty groundbreaking, Charlotte. I applaud you. Really, I do.
God, I thank him for it. And let me just share something with you too. We want people to see who's the driving force in the community and who's been there all along. It's been the grassroots people, and it's time for the grassroots people to come up and get involved in politics and get involved on the ground, get involved in all these boards and committees. They need a voice. We keep saying it over and over again, but now we have to make it happen. I'm kind of tired of doing that, and I don't want to be a burnt out community activist. I want to be informed. I want to be a strategic one, and one who knows what she's doing. And so that's one of the things I want people to see. These are organizations that's been in your community, even with the food insecurities, the food drives. They are the ones who's been pushing it, not just because COVID-19 has appeared. You have
Well,
a
you know
lot of
what?
partners
Let's
doing it.
talk about that. We're going to kind of work backwards and be a little bit all over the place
Yeah,
just because there's so many initiatives. And don't forget, this is the other thing. Today is Feel Good Friday. That means that this is an initiative that we can feel good about. And that's what
yeah,
we're trying to do, drive change so that we can all feel good. So if you have some friends out there in social media land, please tag them to this feed. Be sure to like and share it because we want to really get presence at the meetings next week. Because again, this is what I tell everybody. I can't do it alone. I don't know everybody. I don't know everything. Charlotte doesn't know everybody. Charlotte doesn't know everything. And as long as we're just individuals, we're sitting in a room and we start thinking alike, you get group thought. And then what happens? You got, Joe Naysayer who's like, well, y'all didn't do it right. Well, when I was looking for you, Joe Naysayer, you didn't have nothing to say. So I
yeah.
invite everybody, all walks of life, all viewpoints, all experiences, because that's also one of the things, and I saw this, being an attorney, and this people say, okay, we got to get Black judges on the bench. And I think that we do. We have to get Black judges on the bench, but we've got to get Black judges on the bench who recognize where they're from, who are still living and working and serving in their community. Not just I became a lawyer and I absolutely detached and now I'm a judge and the answer is I can't be political. Well, you can't be political, but you can still serve on these boards. You can still mentor our youth. You can still make sure that you're working in something besides your church. which is a great thing, but there's so many organizations need you and your expertise. And the other thing that judges have relationships where they can get lawyers like me that'll give their time and their dime to make sure that we're getting expungement clinics. But more importantly, that we're having some parole parties. Because anybody ever been to an expungement clinic knows they don't do anything. It's not much you can expunge. But I got to teach you all how to get in the parole process so we can get those records entirely done through just like they never happened, so that we can continue to grow in our community. So that's my little soapbox on why I say this is a great topic for Feel Good Friday, because this is really something to feel good about. So now, when we were talking about that disparity amongst our health in our community. So we talked about this last week as Zahira came on, and we talked about the healthcare workers and where we were as a Black community. And there has been so much backlash in the media because we don't want to own our stuff. That's basically it. So it has become that it's a conspiracy against us. It has become, it's not because we have high blood pressure and diabetes and cholesterol. It's because of other factors. Well, you know what? We do. We have high blood pressure and cholesterol and diabetes. Most of it is because of the other factors, because we're uneducated. We live in food deserts. Gentrification has moved us out of our communities. Redlining means we can't move where we want to, so they have us all packed together. We know that it is a huge problem, the root of it. That's the root of it. But we got to fix our health so that we can deal with we can't deal with the root cause until we deal with the symptoms. It's kind of like when you go in with a gunshot, we got to get the pain stopped before we can deal with the gunshot.
Yes.
We do. I mean, the gunshot is the emergency, but absolutely, they can't do anything for you until they stem that pain. If it's putting you to sleep or whatever has to go, they're not going to have surgery on you and you wide awake from your gunshot. So it's the same thing here with COVID. We got to handle all the symptoms.
Right.
We do. We got to handle the symptoms. So we have that, and but what do we know about the rest of? Because of where we started out with the symptoms, we're more susceptible. So tell us about that. You know, what's going on in our community there, Charlotte?
So you say it again.
What's going on in our community there when we're talking about? So we got the symptoms. We know we're getting it at higher rates, but even more, we're dying at higher rates. So then, what about that disparity? How do we stop that?
So what we're going to be doing, and I want to kind of keep in connection with what we're going to do with the 3-day summit, the virtual, and we're pulling some great minds together and experts. You know, we can be informational people. We can research, and we know what's actually happening in our community. We know the demographics of our community. But when it comes to that information that we need to know about ourselves, our bodies, or holistically approach, you know, with our health, we need to reach out to our experts. And I preferably at this time want to reach out to the Black community, and those
Absolutely.
going to be able to do it. And I see a lot of people posting information about sea moss and aloe and different oils and avocado, all kinds of different things. And we want, and it's okay to put that out if you find information, but we want people who have several years of experience in those fields, especially that can relate to us, to come out and share that with us. But yes, the disparities in our communities has been around for a long time, and we continue to talk about it all the time. But what are we going to do about it? So that's why the summit is very essential. Some people looking at it as 3 days, but actually this is going to last for 2 months, because we're going to come back again in 2 months with our solutions and recommendations. Now, if you know me, and if you don't know me, I'm a very detail-oriented person. So you can ask the team. I hope the team pops up on here somewhere, and they will tell you I've been working it with that email, sending detailed information out. My
Well, I'm
team
gonna tell you, because I'm real good at not responding to email.
packages to all the panelists so they can be prepared. It will be nothing on the spot. You would know exactly what we're looking for, what we're asking for, because guess what? We only have 30 minutes for each session. There's no wrapping sessions. We've already wrapped. When I said state of emergency, this is a state of emergency, and we need to act as though that's what it is.
Oh, okay. So I didn't know what the format was going to be, but I'm just going to tell you that when I say Charlotte is on you, because I was over there like worried about my campaign, worried about what information I'm gonna give you. I must have got 4 emails. Did you send it yet? Did you send this yet? You have to. This is how. And then she's so nice about it. You get the email generated. This is the information exactly that I need. And I'm like, okay, let me send this in before I get beat up. Basically, like you at this point, it's like, because it's almost like per my last email, kind of
Yeah.
the gangster keyboard talk. Like everybody know per my last email what that means. So what is going to be the format? Because you just told me each session is 30 minutes. So tell me how you've identified those sessions.
So day one is going to actually be, we're going to talk about some of the challenges. We're going to brush up on it. And reason why I like to keep the dialogue open for, even though we've heard some of the challenges in our community, there are people who will be discussing things that we may not talk about all the time. And I'll just use an example really, really brief. For instance, the sanitation. When we're picking up medical equipment, should it be the same manner in which you pick up the everyday trash? You got to remember, people are disposing of napkins, tissue, gloves, and
Mhm.
masks in the same trash bin, and then you have your sanitation workers that are doing, and you saying this stuff is staying on surfaces. So should
Well, this
there
is
be a
also
separate?
why.
Should there should be
Um,
a separate truck? Should there be a separate bin? I mean, what should we do? It's just something as simple as that.
well,
How
this
to
is
protect
also
your
why at my campaign. Sorry.
no.
So this is also why at my campaign we're actually addressing sanitation as a health crisis.
Yes.
So, I mean, as a health crisis, because so this is the thing. Not only that, and this is what I saw in my neighborhood, and yay to my team that they've been out there 2 Saturdays in a row. As a matter of fact, we've been out making sure that while we're also doing food deliveries to some of the seniors who've identified some food needs. One of the things they said, look, come on, Danielle, we got to get out and we got to clean this trash up. And so we were trying to figure out, well, all of a sudden, my neighborhood, just where I lived, because they come there all the time, and my campaign office is around the corner from me. And they're like, why all of a sudden is there all this trash? And I said, the trash is going weekly. The recycling is only going every other week. But most importantly, and everybody in Philadelphia has one. Y'all know the little old ladies that sweep every single day. It's like their job to get out there and sweep. Y'all know them. Well, they're not getting out to sweep right now. And I'm glad they're not, because the ones on my block I told to stay in the house. Well, what happens? The folks that still throw trash on the ground, they still out, and they still out in force. And so what's happening there? Nobody's picking it up, and they're throwing down whatever they have and not realizing that, oh, it's not just trash and it doesn't just look good. It is
Contaminate.
now a public health issue because,
Yes.
like you just said, Charlotte, these germs are staying on these surfaces for up to 24 hours. They don't, and we know that what they tell us, the particles are in the air and that we can breathe it in. It's, it's the slippery slope. So we've got to keep our neighborhoods clean. So, shout out to my team really for recognizing that was
Yes.
a serious issue that we had to do something about, and really saying that, you know what, and if nobody else is doing it, then we just going to do it. That's really where they were with it. If nobody else is doing it, we can't do it for everybody, but we can make a difference.
But Danielle, when you think about it, there was a message that was sent to me that was so near and dear to one of my elders who I respect so much, Jackie Wiggins, and she said, "I thank you so much for keeping the people enthused, energized, and enlightened." And when I think about those words, it's very positive, and I thank her for that. But it took the light right off of me because I look at the people who we supposed to be trusting, or the people who supposed to be supporting us. How are enlightening are they? How are you're not even bringing up the fact that we need to talk about an aftermath, or we need to talk about a solution. And a lot of them I don't blame. Maybe it's because it's their first time dealing with this, which it is for all of us. But I don't see any creativity or innovation there, and for people who are staying at home and looking to people to support our community, we kind of want to see how you're jumping on this. What, have we even talked about solutions or aftermath? Somebody give me a website or a link and tell me where these elected officials are talking about this.
Well, let
Besides,
me tell you where they're supposed to be talking about it.
I mean,
Well, allegedly, as a part of this $85 million that Kenny has requested for the COVID emergency, it's supposed to be every single council person will get $400,000 discretionary funds. And that's supposed to be to identify needs in our communities and to advise us about next steps. That's what it's supposed to be for. So they're going to get each council person. So make sure that you have your council people on speed dial because you want to know what they're doing with that $400,000. Every single council person is getting $400,000 under the Kennedy proposal to make sure that information about COVID is getting to the people. So is the information about COVID getting to you from your elected representatives? That's the question that you have to ask yourselves. I'm sure that just like anything, some are doing better than others and some aren't doing anything at all. So you have to ask that of your elected official. Although this is the group for the 190th, I know that people actually tune in from all across the state of Pennsylvania. And I know they're tuning in from all across the city of Philadelphia. So for each of you, I tell you that what I'm going to do is to make sure that I get on the phone and I contact my state rep and my city council people and my council people at large, because I want to know, why don't I know what's going on? I mean, every day I'm on here to tell you all what's going on. Why is nobody telling me what's going on? I got to research it. I'm not elected yet.
I'm so sorry. That I just find it to be so funny. And if you know what perspective I'm coming from, and we're just tired. That's why I said in the beginning, I really appreciate this platform that you have here, because you've given a lot of people opportunity to tell. But it's sad when the grassroots organizations or people like yourself who are given information, but then it's a good thing when it's supposed to be on the opposite end. But we'll get it together.
No, that's it. And you know what? Rob Ridgway is exactly right. It's about oversight and transparency. But there was a virtual town hall about it, and a few of the council people were directly asked about it, and no answer was directly given. That was my experience of it. No answer was directly given. So maybe you can get an answer when you talk to them directly yourself, for yourself. And make sure that that's the only way. We have to hold them accountable, and not just every 4 years at the polling place or every 2 years or whatever the cycle is for whatever the office is. That's not the answer. They need to be accountable to their constituents at all times. So I know that I have always had my state reps, my senators. That's right, my senator at Congress, my congressional rep. Even the attorney general has heard from me, okay, about laws or whatever. You have to make sure that you're reaching out.
Yes, absolutely.
Oh, so no, I don't. Are the commercials supposed to already be running, Tamika? Because that was my question. So Councilman Thomas stated they would be doing commercials, but I haven't seen any commercials yet. Have you? Well, did they already start the commercials, Tamika? Were they already supposed to start, or was this a part of the proposal that that's what they're going to do? I mean, because technically I do a commercial on Facebook every day. It's really not that hard. I don't know. And I know that elected officials get much more traffic on their websites and their virtual town halls and their phone town halls than I ever could, because they're elected. So I don't know.
Speaking of phones, so I don't know if you saw a recent post that I put up about transferring calls. When I worked for state government, God bless the former state rep that I worked for, Rep Thomas. And when we left the office, I don't care if it was a snowy day, rainy day, whatever it was, we transferred our phone calls to our phones because we were just that dedicated. We're not working, we're at home. So why not answer the phones and then shut them off at a certain time? So, it is sad that I have to call these offices and, there's no true answer. The answer machines are not set up to say when there's going to be a turnaround time to respond. PPA don't even have an option for people who are behind on payments, because they double up when you're behind on payments. So the option was to go down to Filbert Street and to make a payment for that one time, to catch up. So, I mean, it's just a lot of things that we have to take in consideration. And I really thank God for the elected officials who are stepping up to do those things, and for the people in the community.
So Zahira said that there was the same thing as late as Wednesday evening when it was asked on one of their Facebook lives, and it was ducked and dodged until the last few minutes of his live. So there was the same question was asked about what happens with the $400,000. That what you're saying, Zahira? Sorry, Zahira, and I know your name. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Is that the same question that they were asking? Okay, just making sure that I was following up. I don't know. There's a lot of technology out here that can be used. It's not just about what we can put on WDAS and on billboards. Sometimes it's really, we have community groups that work with us. That's the whole point of making sure that we build community partners. Make sure that we're getting the information to them, because you know what? I'm gonna tell you that on my block, I didn't go ask my council person. I just asked Miss Bazemore, or I just asked, that was the answer. Miss Bazemore know everything. That was and then later on, when Miss Bazemore got tired, then people started asking me. It was kind of like, here's the torch. You run with that baby, and so that's how I became an official community activist. Because she said she was tired. She can't keep doing it. Okay. So, and I got to make sure that I find some behind me so that we can make sure that block by block is working. Curtis Jones and the Block Captain Coalition, that's been fabulous. But the Block Captain list is like some super secret thing. That it is. It's like, so if you don't know who your Block Captain is, then you don't know who your Block Captain is. It is literally, did you know that? It's a whole super secret thing. And it's like very official.
The old system.
Yes, I don't know. It's like the Illuminati trying to get the Block Captain list. You
Well,
can
you
get
know how
your community
is.
board and elected official phone number, but not that Block Captain list.
That's this. They won't get that information up at all. That is secretive information, Block Captain information. But anyway,
So
yes.
now, so we've talked about the COVID, the health disparities. Now, the rest of COVID is going to be the economic disparities, and why that's going to be an issue. Look, we again in my lives we've already talked about it. One of the reasons that we're being impacted the way we are is because we're more likely to have the kinds of jobs we were hand on. So people go, oh, well, the doctors and nurses. We may not be the doctors and the RNs in the hospitals, but we sure are the CNAs, and we sure are the home health agencies that are going in and out of these senior buildings. We sure are the folks who are bagging your stuff at ShopRite and stocking the shelves at the Walgreens. That is definitely us. And we are more likely to be in those jobs, having more contact, so more exposures. And we already don't have health insurance. We already don't have the money for the copay if we do have health insurance. I mean, an example is the COVID-19 tests are $75 copays. Before the CARES Act was passed, they were $75 a copay to get in. Yes, that's right, Glenn. And we're going to talk about that because that's a part of the health disparity. I'm sorry.
What was the comment?
Oh, here, when he said we're also leading in the top 5 killers before COVID-19. And we've had in our community, what is it? Almost half the deaths of COVID-19 have been murdered since February the 2nd or whatever it is. Like, really, y'all still out here killing people in the midst of a pandemic.
Yeah, that's another thing that we have not discussed yet, Danielle, but I'm pretty sure we'll get to it, how it ties into, because that's the subtitle of this whole thing. It's a public health crisis, but it's a cry out for that. But the gun violence has to be addressed. The violence, period, has to be addressed. And it's happening predominantly in our Black community.
Yes.
And so getting hit hard from all sides. So somebody has to start addressing this stuff.
You got stuck on your Zoom. You got stuck on you back? Charlotte, you back? We can't hear you. Wait a minute. Let me text her and let her know. I'm going to take you out the feed and come right back. Sometimes that works. Sorry about that. That's technical difficulties. I remind you that I'm coming to you live from Social Media Studios, where I am like Tyler Perry. I'm the executive producer, the writer, the talent, the gaffer, the lighting, and also the sound. Can you hear me now, Charlotte? Nope, still can't got her. Okay, hold on. So, and one of the biggest issues here when we talk about the violence that's going on is that go out and come back in. Okay. One of the problems with the violence here in the city is that it's kind of because we're on top of each other. So in the midst of a pandemic, we're still having, we're still having these problems with one another. And somebody said something, and I really had to think about this. And I kind of I couldn't get mad about what they were saying. People are outside because they don't like where they live. And that kind of stopped me in my tracks, and it stopped some of the judgments that we have about people being on the streets. Now that, you don't need to be at the basketball court, you don't need to be, but there's a lot of unsafety and unhealthiness that's in our homes, and we have to be honest with each other and know that. We know that domestic violence is up 45% since the pandemic, and that's across all populations, but especially in urban communities. Why is that? Because the temperatures are already flaring. We have poverty issues. We have food insecurities. We have, and also our households are maybe not as entertained as some other ones. Folks go, oh, we got streaming, we can Netflix. Well, you know what? What do we know? People's Netflix don't work because the Wi-Fi was down. They didn't have access. Can you hear me now, Charlotte? No, I can't hear you. I can't hear you. Sorry about that. We still can't hear her. Wait a minute. So let's see. Make sure I didn't mute it. No. Try it again. We still can't hear you, honey. Still can't hear you. She's going to come out and come back. Is that, we're not safe in our home. So what happens now is that, you know what? And that's exactly right, Zahira. Thank you for giving me, Zahira. Thank you for giving me the stat on that. So there was 113 gun violence deaths and 131 COVID-19 deaths as of today. So as I said, people don't feel safe in the home. What did we know? They couldn't shut the schools entirely down because they didn't know how they were going to feed children, how kids were going to get food at home, because we know that's where they're healthy and they're safe. It wasn't just about, oh, well, in the suburbs they had. It was also, hey, we had to be worried about our kids' health and safety. We needed to be worried about women who were fleeing men. So, what we had was we already had domestic abuse orders and CFAs, and stay away orders that were in place. Now what? There became the issue of how we were going to have those effectuated. We definitely have other problems in our society. Can I hear you this time, Charlotte? I don't know why. Still can't hear you. I am so sorry for that, because she was going to get to the nitty gritty of what's going on actually with our summit next week. But the summit is Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday from 6 to 8 p.m. Make sure that you are following Danyl Patterson for the 190th page. We'll make sure that we put the information there so that you can join our virtual town hall, because what we want is to hear from you. This is not a situation where we just sit and talk at you. We really need ideas so that we can really get some work done. These are working groups. That's what I was told, that I can't come if I am not ready to roll up my sleeves and get the work done for the community. And I invite every single one of you. So if you know some folks who head up an organization, who are involved actively in an organization, who care about an organization, if you know some folks who are caregivers of other individuals. And I say that because a lot of times when we're caregivers, we know what people need more so than anybody else. Like example, I was my mother's caregiver before she passed, and all she really wanted was company. I would have little events at the house. They were like house parties, and invite my friends just so mom could see people, so it would keep her spirits and her morale up. And as COVID-19 has been happening, what I found is so many seniors who don't have any other means to reach out to folks. Do you know how many people I call every single day as a part of my campaign? And instead of the 2 to 3 minute conversations, they're more like 15 to 20, 25. Why? Because those people are just so happy that somebody's actually talking to them. So I've learned so much about their household, who's there. Yeah, it's not going to work for her today. We're having definitely technical difficulties. Oh, wait a minute. Somebody actually told me what to do about it. Because y'all know, again, Danyl Patterson Studios. Okay. So we're going to see whether or not this will work for me. Hey, Charlotte.
Hi.
You still there? Can you guys hear her if I do it this way? Let me see if I can take. Well, so I'm just going to have you on the speaker. They've seen you already, and see whether or not we can keep this moving because you know the rules. We're at the end, and I don't know why the device won't connect to you. So we're going to just keep it right here for right now. Can anybody tell me whether or not they can hear Charlotte? Anybody? Zahira, Rob, Tamika, anybody that's there? She's already on live, Tony. She's already on live. She's sharing it on live. Is that correct, Charlotte?
Yeah.
Okay.
A little echo, but that's fine. This is very vital.
Okay. Okay, well, there you go. So somebody just told me they can hear you. So that was what I wanted to know. And I just was talking about the violence that we're already seeing. The domestic abuse that's already occurring. People don't feel safe in their homes. The fact that one of the reasons we didn't want to close school down was because we didn't know how our kids were going to eat and how safe they were going to be. I've, talked with social workers on live and offline who've told us that there are kids they're still checking up on because they knew what their home lives were like. Thanks, Doris and Zahira and Rob. Got it. We're still moving forward. And so now what happens? We know that we're still going to have these problems when they go back. And why? Because the economic disparities are going to abound. You know what? ShopRite is not going to need all of these employees that they need for, all the cleaning and the continuation of the stock and everything that's coming in. They're not going to. They're not. So then what happens? ShopRite was offering new jobs at $22 an hour. They're like, hey, come on in here. Amazon offered up another $3 an hour for folks who come work at their warehouse. These are not going to be permanent jobs.
Right.
And those jobs, because they weren't permanent, they didn't offer health insurance.
Right.
So now what?
So when it comes to jobs, I just told you this because I want to piggyback just a few seconds to just say to you, the concern of opening back up these businesses, especially places like Amazon and certain parts of the country where they have been tested for COVID-19. Not only are we talking about hiring people for temporary jobs, we're talking about putting people at risk from communities where people who are supposed to be in charge not sure how this strand of COVID-19 is really changing and transforming every day. So when I look at the situation of jobs, people are really not concerned about the job so much because they're there. You even have healthcare workers who are panicking about being safe from COVID-19.
Well, I mean, what is it? So now we have people who work in hospitals who worried about being safe from COVID-19, and what we have the lobby pushing legislation to make it so that it's illegal to sue. So so it's illegal to sue the healthcare workers, the hospitals, and believe me, it's not about the nurse that's in there. It's about the nurse that doesn't have a proper PPE, who knows what she's contracting. Because there's another thing. Somebody said, "Oh, well, not many people die." Well, you know what? It's not even about that. This impacts your lung capacity, they say, for more than a year.
Yeah.
So you may be safe from the disease, but you're going to have lasting impact on this. And I'll give you my personal experience. And I come back to this a lot. And I know y'all are probably so tired of hearing about my mama and my daddy and their illness. But again, how many people do you know who were directly impacted from swine flu? Okay. So that's why I share this story, because it's so similar. My father passed away from the swine flu while my mother was actually it's definitely one of those things. My mom was in the hospital being treated for it and was already isolated out and couldn't see my dad and all those kind of things. 3 days later, my father died from complications of swine flu, cardiomyopathy, as a result of swine flu. So what happened was the fluid built up in the body overrode the heart because it's a pulmonary issue. Okay, right. So he died technically from a heart attack. Well, what happened to my mother? When she came out of the hospital, they said, oh, she's well. And 6 months later, she was diagnosed with end-stage renal failure. Because the heart had been working overtime, her lungs had been working overtime to get the fluid out. And when your body is overridden like that, it works on your kidneys. So we don't know what the rest of this is going to impact on our bodies long term. And it's going to be like the folks who saw relief after 9/11, all the first responders who came out, and then what happened? Now they had all these different health issues because they had rushed into the World Trade Center to save people. And then what happened? The government said, "Oh, you can't sue us about that." The private contractor said, "Oh, you can't sue us about that." Oh, then the insurance company said, "Oh, that's technically pre-existing. We're not covering that."
Wow, that's crazy. And you know what? I really want people to take this into consideration while this is happening, while this is going on. I know some of them really feel like I have to work. For the ones who feel like I have to work, or I have to be on the front line, or I have to. If you know you have some pre-existing conditions, or it's a possibility that COVID-19 could affect you, or maybe worse than others, I wouldn't chance it. I really would not chance it, and I would do what's best for me and my family and my community.
Well, Zahira just told us that even positions being offered at some healthcare facilities are only hiring to be the temperatures takers at $50, then let go after COVID-19 pandemic ends. But then they're taking that disease right on back to, they're taking it right on back to their families. And,
someone just said to me, Charlotte, they're hiring for security guards at $15 more an hour, and they don't have to be in touch with any COVID-19 patients. And I'm like, did y'all hear that this was airborne? Y'all listening to the same information that I'm listening to? What is going on?
You have to get there first. Let me see whether we will try to stream again. Are you still there? I see you laughing. Can I hear you?
I'm still here.
No, I can't hear you.
But I'm here though. But we can hear each other over the phone. Oh my God.
Well, actually, this is kind of okay because I can see you talking and now they can see your beautiful face. Thank you.
I don't like laughing about those things, but I was just telling my husband, I said, first you got to get in the vehicle, drive, get out the vehicle, may have to stop and get something before you go. I mean, you just exposed all the way around. I don't know what these people think. It's only, I know what they're thinking. It's just about money. I need to get my business up and running. That's why they're pushing to open up the country, which that's a whole other topic for another day. I don't agree with that. I really don't. Until we
well, we do. Come on. There's one part we got to talk about today. We got to talk about it because welcome to Pennsylvania. So they out there, they planning a rally on Monday, honey. Did you see this?
Yeah.
So we're going to rally on Monday about over at the Capitol because the Republicans, totally partisan, that the Republican House and the Republican Senate got out there in the state of Pennsylvania and they passed a bill to reopen the state to some businesses. Wolf is going to veto it. And that's fabulous that we have somebody that's actually thinking about our health and safety, because in actuality, Pennsylvania has had the toughest regulations on COVID-19 and really shutting it all down. And also, we're the only state in the union that's still holding on to our A+ grade for handling this. Meaning that because we home, we were really making sure that the curve was flattened. And what we know, Philadelphia still has not seen its surge, and its surge is still expected. And the answer is go back and open it back up. And then it's crazy. So then there's a couple things that we know now. We know about the underground economy. So it's the barbers and the beauty salons want to open back up because they're not eligible for anything because they don't pay taxes. So because it's been under the table cash, it's a lot of money. The nail salon, same thing. There's been tax only. Has anybody ever noticed they'll let you use your credit card at the nail salon, but you can't pay for the tip with it because it's about the taxation? They don't want to get taxed for that. They don't want to prove that they have so many employees because they'll also tell you, they kind of undervalue their employees and so that they can push the profits down. And so if Danielle leaves a $20 tip on my card, they know that the service was a lot of money because there was a $20 tip. So they don't want to do that. And so then they inflate the price of the gel and the manicure stuff that they actually used for you. So all that's going on. Then we've got all the folks who are saying, oh, well, our hardware store, our little small hardware store is not open, or this one. Well, Target is open, but we're not open. Well, Target sells everything. And actually, if you sell food, you're open. If you sell food, you're open. But everybody doesn't get to sell one battery and think that now I'm a convenience store. You sell one battery. at $18 per battery. So they're continuing to protect us from price gouging because you know that was going on immediately. But look at who's out there and who wants to get out there. Oh no, Rob, I'm not saying everybody does it. I'm talking about I'm not saying everybody does. What I'm talking about is now what has become an underground society. That's all I'm talking about. Because I'm gonna tell you more than anybody else, I can't wait to see my hairdresser. Okay, I cannot wait to see her. I can't wait to see my manicurist. Okay, but I'm gonna do what I need to do in the meantime. That's all I'm saying. So now what's happening? So now they're out there and they're going to go rally. Well, look who's going to go rally. I don't know if y'all noticed this. Them the same folks that had torches and pitchforks, all those fine people. That's exactly how Trump referred to them. Those fine people who were fighting for their rights down in Virginia. Y'all remember them folks? Do you remember that, Charlotte?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. It reminds me of my Tennessee people. But anyway, listen, let me share something with you. I'm going to throw a conspiracy out there to everything you just said in this last comment. Let me throw a conspiracy out there really, really quick since we talk about conspiracy theories. Since you know that is disproportionately spread amongst the Black community, you know, why not let's just go ahead and open up the store and let's just open up everything. It ain't going to bother me. I'll just leave it like that.
Well, you know, there's that, and you know, and I don't know, but this is the other thing. I'm gonna tell y'all right now. I don't care what they open. I'm gonna be the last one. I'm definitely that person. I'm gonna let y'all test the outside air first and tell me what it's like out there. Tell me what it's like, because I'm gonna tell you right now. I'm not even going front. You go ahead, Charlotte. Tell me what they doing out there. I'm gonna sit here. I'm gonna do a couple more lives for you and bring you Charlotte from the outside. Now, there you go. This is me. This is Charlotte live from outside. What?
I'll be right with you. Matter of fact, I'm gonna call you FaceTime and say, "What's that, Chardonnay, Kendall Jackson? What you doing?" Yes, that's what I'll be calling him. We drink wine right over the phone.
Because I'm not going first. I'm definitely not. I'm not even gonna step my toe out. I'm not. Yeah.
You can hear me now, right?
Yo, can I?
Can you hear me?
No, hold on. Let me mute this. Wait a minute.
Can you hear me now?
No, wait a minute. I know.
Okay.
Yeah, that's still you talking through your thing with a little bit of echo.
So you're right. I won't be going out for the record. There's other things that I'm planning on doing. I've already prepared because they're talking about open up May 1st. Pennsylvania's talking about open up May 1st. So as for me, I have other plans.
Bridget, I don't know what you said. Bridget said we're gonna be fighting together to be last. I don't know, Bridget. I think I can hold out longer than you can. I don't know you, but I think I can hold out longer. Because I don't know. I don't know, Bridget. What do you do for a living, Bridget? Because that'll tell me a lot. Because now, wait a minute. So my friend got his return to contingency plans. Because what they say you had to have the CDC contingency plan. Now he works from home regularly anyway, but they got the thing for the whole office. And it was like, okay, so we're only going to sit every other space. And then you have to wipe your desk down before you come in. And then you got to wipe your desk down before you go out. And then and you can't use anybody else's phone. You can't use anybody else's stuff. I said, but so then what happened when you go to the bathroom? That's all I want to know, and I'm just like, and who's going to be there to enforce all this stuff? I really want to know that part. Who's going to be there and be like, who's going to be the you didn't wipe it down police? Because y'all know that 60% of men don't wash their hands after using the bathroom.
I get this. Well, we would think that this social distance would have people in practice, but that is a stage to think of. That is a disgrace. I don't know what to do, and I don't say I'm a phobia person, but I'm like, when I walk into a store, I'm looking all around first before I do anything. So we have to see how we're going to get a handle on it. We don't even have a plan. What is the plan for that?
Well, wait a minute. So here you go. Glenn wants us to know they're doing herding in Sweden. No one is on lockdown in Sweden. So let's talk about that, Glenn. So the United States, we finally first at something. We the first. We got the most COVID cases, yay, and we got the most COVID deaths, yay. Okay, so we also didn't lock down all at one time, and they made 9,000 excuses for that. And a lot of it is because of all the states' rights. Don't forget the lady out there in North Dakota. She refused to do anything in North Dakota and said, we fine out here. One of the places that had no hot spots was North Dakota. She sent them all. Now they got 500 people sick in the one factory. 500 in one factory because they wouldn't shut it down. Okay, so let's talk about that. Sweden has universal health care. They have no health disparities. The health care is absolutely free. They're taxed at 70%. They already get subsidies for their living. They already get subsidies for their food. And this is everybody. This is not just the poor. Everybody subsidized all the time. So what happens? As a result, they are in a better and different position than we are going into this. That's really just the facts of it. That, you know, if you have access to healthcare, you have a doctor you're already using, you have food that's healthy that you already have access to, you already have a job, you already have you know, your social environment is already a certain way. You're already living, you know, they already promote clean air. They already promote clean living. So they're in a different position than you know, fat Americans. And I'm gonna just call it what it is, because whenever I go abroad, that's how they treat me. Fat Americans. And I can't even get mad because then I look around, I am fatter than everybody else. I just, you know, I am. I'm normal over here, but when I go anyplace else, I'm a fat American. Brian, I don't speak emojis, so I don't know what that is. Oh, trash. The toilet? Is that the toilet? Okay. Y'all know I don't know what I'm looking at. Y'all know I'm old. I just look good. I just look good. Y'all know I'm old. Yes. And you know what? Now that's true. You know, Glenn, they've actually, so this is hilarious. So Trump says we all gonna start opening up May 1st, right? And you can start already. So what to do? DeSantis immediately goes up and opens the beaches in Florida. So we're gonna see what happened down there. Immediately opens the beaches and said, y'all get out there, go here for a swim. Did you see that? They opened at 5 o'clock today. DeSantis down in Florida, the governor in Florida, he opened the beaches as of 5 o'clock today. Well, that's what I said. Maybe they the first ones to go outside. Okay, Bridget, there you go. They the first ones. They the first ones to go outside. Or something, right? So that's it. So everybody. Oh yeah, Jacksonville. That's exactly right. Jackson. It's not just Jacksonville, Glenn. Florida. Actually, the beaches were actually considered to have special dispensation to go ahead and open. And I'm just like, I can't wait to watch this next Friday. Okay, I give them to next Friday. Huh? I said I can. Well, don't forget that the dude in Mississippi didn't even know that you could have it and be asymptomatic. Remember that? He was, when all the people started dying, he said, "Well, I thought you couldn't get it if you was asymptomatic." But this is the thing. Okay, we all off the subject because we just can't believe the stuff that's going on, and it's Feel Good Friday, so we talking about it. But no, no, Sharon, it is true. They opened the beaches at 5 o'clock. So when y'all watch our president on TV tonight, he gonna talk all about the fine people in Florida who are out there in the beaches. But so we're all off the subject because we talking about all the other states, but we worried about this state here and specifically the state of Black Philadelphia, because we know that our problems are different and unique, and we have to solve them because nobody else seems to care. Because I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna look on Monday. I'm gonna look at who rallying at the Capitol. How many of y'all think gonna look like us? Anybody got 5 on it?
I was just telling a group of people from the East that maybe we should get in our cars and maybe we should just rally, like swap rooms and our showrooms and tell them how they shouldn't be opening up the city or the country.
That's right, GHS 237, baby. So you know, I'm a girl's high girl. You know, we got the spring screen net. Somebody just jumped on and said GHS. You know, 237. It automatically comes out. You know, girls high girls are very special girls. and very, very proud of it. Well, Charlotte, thank you so much. It was definitely a feel good Friday because we got to talk about it quite a bit. And actually, you know what? It's one of these times you got to laugh to keep from crying, girl, because of the frustration. Is anybody besides me having trouble sleeping? I want to talk about that. For anybody besides me having trouble sleeping.
I've been going to bed late and it's not usual, like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. Yeah, I've had trouble, and it's a part of it. I believe it's a part of the insomnia and anxiety of actually what's going to actually happen after this. You know?
I worry about my business. I worry about my community. I worry about my family. I have family members sick. I worry about the state of our economy after this. I worry about the state of our health after this. I worry about what society is going to look like after this. Because again, Black people don't have it easy already. Okay? We already don't have it easy. This is just going to compound that. You know, it is. It's going to compound that. You know, and no, that's right. Again, no sleep, Sharon. I'm going to sleep no earlier than 6 a.m. It's ridiculous. And you know what, Glenn? This is important. So I actually had a Zoom call with women specifically about our issues. You know, we already super women. And now you add on, we got to be the teacher, we got to be the homemaker, we got to be the housewife, we got to bring home the bacon, fry it up in the pan, never let you forget you a man because you're a woman. It's like the Angelique commercial playing out from the 80s. I know I'm old. And you know, and it's all of that going on. But on top of that, I got to worry about my employees, what my business look is like. What does my campaign look like? And I'm already wanting to put the weight of the world on my shoulders. It's like I do real good, and it's like 2 a.m. I think it's like the universal hour for everybody's brain to like maybe we subconsciously vibing with one another or something. Because I can open up Facebook and it's like every one of my girlfriends is like, why am I up?
I was inboxing one of my friends and she was like, Charlotte, like that's not like you. I was on Instagram and it was like 2 o'clock in the morning. She was like, you on Instagram talking to me? This ain't Charlotte. This gotta be playing. Because you know I get my rest.
Charlotte, let me tell you, because before all this, I was on my I'm gonna be fit. I'm gonna be a fit chick. I'm drinking, protein shakes. I'm on it. I'm doing it. I had lost like 70 pounds 3 years ago and have kept it off for years. Well, I'm gonna say COVID-19. That's all. I hadn't had a drink. All of a sudden, it's like, oh, let me have wine every day, or like, oh, every meal is an excuse to have wine. Then it's like, and because I got up every day at 4:15 to go to the gym. So I went to the gym every morning at 4:15, 6 days a week, y'all. 6 days a week. I was like I'm trying to tell you, I was brainwashed. It was gonna be great. And what happened? So then the first week went by. Then they closed the gym. Then I said, I'm going to do it at home. I logged into a couple of them Zooms. Now, basically, I just watch the Jones with Chris Hemsworth. He does the videos looking like Thor. I'll be like, oh, yeah, get it. That's what a burpee look like while I sit there and eat popcorn. I'm definitely like, let me bake cookies. Oh, banana nut bread. Chris Hemsworth, here he come on. Let me make sure I got my banana nut bread and wine ready. I am totally off it, okay? And eating anything. And so it's just, so as a result of going to gym every day at 4:15, I would sleep somewhere every day at 9 o'clock. If I made it to 9:30, I was doing it. Okay. Now I'm up to 11:30 and up again at 2. Like,
yeah, we have to get back our biorhythms. That's our biorhythms. We got to get them back to adjusted soon. I think everyone is pretty much the same, and we have to address that eventually. We have to address that, and that's something we don't do anyway.
Well, our mental health. This is trauma, y'all. If you don't recognize it as such, this is trauma. And we are, we're already a traumatized segment of society, and now we are more traumatized. We cannot repress this. I think Farida Boyer has been on talking about her services, Dr. Angela Clack. We've got to make sure that we are reaching out, especially our young Black men and, and our children. Our children have been traumatized. That's all this is. Do you know, we're going to be like, the old people from the Depression or from the Holocaust that saved everything and they hoarded everything, let me tell you the silly story. I'm gonna tell you about how I was born. So this totally off subject, but this is about hoarding. So my mama got this thing that she wanted Army surplus Spam. That's what she wanted. So she was having one of them pregnancy cravings and she wanted Army surplus Spam. And nobody knew where you were going to get some Army surplus Spam from. So they go to my grandparents' house and my grandmother has Army surplus Spam from Korea. Okay. It's from Korea. And I was born, in the late 70s. So this. So in the Korea, it was 50 years ago. So our mother eats this Army surplus Spam and goes over her sister's house and has no idea that she's in labor. None. Okay. All she trying to do is make fried Spam sandwiches and whatever. So she has no idea. She thought it was indigestion. So she's back and forth. And I was born into the great blizzard. Okay. So everybody, we had blizzard parties. I still had blizzard parties. So they had gone all over my one aunt's house and they in there. And this is, I'm really getting ready to tell y'all will understand me totally when you understand this story. So y'all got to listen. You got to listen. So my mom, she keeps going back and forth to the bathroom, and her older sister is like, "Well, who's the drunk?" I have, everybody got a drunk in their family, bona fide drunk, because it's the, they out there, they having a blizzard party. All the women are over, they drinking, and all the men was at work because they didn't want my mom to be by herself. So my aunt Bill goes, "Do you know you in labor?" And she's like, "Oh no, I just had the Spam." She's like, "I'm timing it. You keep saying you got this pain and you run to the bathroom every 8 minutes. You in labor." She was like, "You don't even know how to have a baby right." Okay. So then you got my uncles that come home with my daddy. And they done all walked up to the house and they drinking because I was born on a Friday. So you got to get drunk. It's a blizzard and it's a Friday. You got to get drunk. So they come in and they don't know what to do because our mama in pain. So they give her y'all ready? Smirnoff vodka, because this gonna help. Drink this Smirnoff vodka. And so she don't know what to do because she don't believe she's in labor. So she's steady drinking the Smirnoff vodka. And so they called a doctor, and Dr. Weinstein, because I still know him. I still knew him. He was my, her care physician for a long time after I was born. Dr. Weinstein said, "Well, you already drinking?" He said, "Yeah." She said, "You said you already eating?" She said, "Yeah." She said, "Well, do just what you do. Finish up that bottle of gin, finish up that fifth, so that you be good and anesthetized when you get here, and finish up that Spam because you ain't gonna eat no more for a minute. And I'm gonna act like I don't see it when you poop all over my table trying to push." So that is how I arrived into the world, drunk and full of Spam. There you go. So now you know what's wrong with me. That's our family folklore of what is actually wrong with me. I was born drunk and full of Spam, but all because my grandmother was from that generation of have-nots, and so she just hoarded every single thing. She couldn't get rid of anything because she was traumatized from that experience. And our kids are being traumatized by this one. But you know what? It's not going to last because we have information and technology that my grandparents didn't have. We have a sense of community that is undying amongst us. We have a perseverance that we know knows no bounds. We have survived in a land that has not wanted us for 400 years. We will survive this, and we will do it together. Charlotte, thank you so much for coming on. We done went over because it's been a really laughing good time. And you know what? That made me feel good this Friday. So thank you all for tuning in. Charlotte, how can they find you next week? It's Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. At what time?
So the event is April 28th, 29th.
Oh, that's 2 weeks. Well, see, wait a minute. So this is the thing. When you don't know what day it is, I know the dates, and that becomes next Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. See, wait a minute.
Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Okay, and you can always find me on social media. My number is 504-229-2071. That's a good way to connect with me.
Oh, what is it? Wait a minute. Let me make sure I put it up there. Wait a minute. Well, 21. Was it 2? What was it?
504-229-2071.
Oh, wait a minute. 504 is zip code. I forgot you from the country.
Well, yeah, I use that as a Google number, though.
I know. 504-22. Do it again.
Yes, 229-2071.
Okay, so that's Charlotte. And you guys can reach me at 267-291-4702, 267-291-4702. We'll be back again. Charlotte has all the information. And you know what? Don't forget, we will do better together. Thank you.